give us your name?
I'm Allison Greene, but you can call me Allie.
Okay, Allie. So could you tell us more about you? What are you doing here at Hopkins?
I am a second-year medical student.
Perfect. And
Sure. So I grew up on Long Island. My mom was an art teacher. My father is a professor, an economics professor. I have 3 sisters. And yeah. I graduated, and the following fall, I moved to Manhattan and started NYU. I had a really fun time. I didn't go in with any specific mindset about what I wanted to do or what I wanted to study. I took a bunch of classes and a bunch of different things. My freshman year was kind of a smattering of different types of explorations. And I took a Psych 101 when I was a freshman, and that really spoke to me. So after that, I decided to pursue psychology as a major, and I minored in, I guess, what would be called child psychiatry.
okay. And so what happened immediately after undergrad?
So once I graduated, I moved uptown. I was living downtown when I went to NYU, and then I moved uptown to attend Columbia. Straight from college, I started a PhD program in school psychology up at Columbia University. And school psychology is kind of an unusual field. It's sort of a blend between education and child development and psychology. So a school psychologist, a lot of people haven't heard of this before. It's a professional who works in elementary school, middle schools, and high schools to work with students who are struggling, whether it's because of a learning disability or ADHD or behavior issues or family issues or any kind of social issues. The school psychologist works with those students and their families to help overcome whatever kind of challenges are hindering that kid's academic performance. Sure. So straight up from college, like I said, I was accepted to this PhD program up at Columbia, and I thought I was like a super badass, and this is like totally what I wanted to do, and like I could be a school psychologist. This is so super. This is everything I want. But once I got there, after a couple of weeks of starting my program, I slowly learned that like I didn't take enough time to really think about what I wanted for myself and my future, and this was nothing wrong with the program. It was more of just me failing to take time to really think about what I wanted to do. Because when I made the decision to go to graduate school during college, what I wanted for myself at that point was different from what I wanted for myself when I started my program. I was older, just by a couple months, but I had graduated college, so what I wanted changed over time. So as I progressed through my program, it was this like slow realization that school psychology was not necessarily the best fit for me. So about halfway through the first year, I decided to leave, and I didn't have a plan B. I wasn't sure where I was going, but I knew I didn't want to be there. But I wasn't a student at the time, so working in a psychiatry lab was kind of my way of like keeping my feet in academia without actually being a student. So worked as a nanny and did some research in psychiatry and did a lot of introspection and thought about what I might want to do instead of psychology. I wasn't pre-med in college, so I didn't take any of the science or math classes that pre-meds take. So a lot of the career possibilities that I thought I might want needed that science background. So I applied for a post-bac program to broaden my opportunities for possible careers. Like I said earlier, I left graduate school without any specific plan about where to go. So I didn't know where I was going, but I knew for sure I didn't want to be where I was. The shared, as we call it. It's like kind of like a fate serendipitous kind of thing. So I met up with this guy from college for dinner, and I told him, like, Chris, like, I don't want to be in grad school. I don't know what I want to do. Like, this isn't for me. I don't know where to go. He's like, just go. You should go to medical school. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, it wasn't pre-med. I didn't tell you that I wanted to be a doctor. He's like, you should do it. Just like apply for your post-bac. So he kind of planted that seed and really moved medicine up on my differential, or like my list of possibilities for where I should consider going from that point forward. It was my own decision to leave grad school, so that was a force pushing me away from that point in my life, and he kind of walked into my life at a very good point to be the force pulling me towards medicine. Yeah, this is like, it's such a great question, but it's also such a loaded question to ask a second-year medical student, because a lot of students go into medical school wanting to do something very specific. Like if you ask first semester first year students what they want to do. They'll get a lot of like, I want to do neurosurgery, I want to do pediatrics, I'm going to be a psychiatrist, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And once you get to second year, you ask the same question to the same people, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, I don't know, like, I'm just putting my clerkship schedule, I'm just submitting that thing, like, I don't know what I want to do, like, my research is in this, but I might want to do this. It's a lot more of a loaded question at this point. Kids interest me. That's the one constant. So within all of those things, it would be pediatrics is obviously kids, but if I were to do radiology, I would want to do pediatric radiology. If I were to do emergency medicine, I would want to do pediatric emergency medicine. Child psychiatry, if I decide to do psychiatry. I don't want to do surgery. That's a definite. But as far as my interests are, the one definite answer I can give you is children. And that's been the one constant for me all the way from college until now. That's a fun question. I think number one is that dinner where I kind of had somebody give me some direction. So like I said, like I left grad school, I knew I didn't want to be there, but the future was kind of nebulous. And then I met up with this guy who helped me kind of make it come together a little bit. So for me that was a turning point because I hadn't really seriously considered going into medicine, but after meeting with him, kind of got the confidence and idea that maybe this is something that I could do. Number two, I guess, was deciding to move to Baltimore. So when I lived in New York, I never wanted to leave New York. I thought that I want to be in New York forever. But now that I'm in Baltimore and I decided to leave, I'm really glad I did. So just that turning point, taking the leap away from your hometown to someplace that's unfamiliar and not necessarily where you want to be. It's now where I want to be, but at the time it wasn't. It hasn't happened yet, but I think for me, my number three turning point, at least in terms of my professional career, will be when I decide what I want to do for sure and what residency I want to apply into. But I think the one thing that I would have done differently, given the whole scenario, is that I would have taken time off in between, and I think that's something that every college student should do. Take a year, take a month, whatever, just take some time before you decide what your next step is going to be, because what you think you want at this point in time, whatever point in time that is, might not be what you're going to want when you finally get there. I would say that it is absolutely crucial that you guys take some time between college and whatever it is you're doing afterwards, especially if it's graduate school, even if it's medical school. Take some time off, take a year or more or less if you have to, and really figure out what it is that you want to do. To step out of the context of college, step away from the people that you're with every day, place yourself in that different context and figure out what's constant in your mind and what you think you want to do. Like, figure out what the constants are and figure out who you really are before you make the decisions about where you want to go moving forward.
All right, that was great. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me and answer a few questions.
Of course. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about myself.